Hi everybody, this is Flavia and I appreciate you watching this video. Today I have some Christmas note cards to share with a fun pop-up element. I know it's only February, but since holidays go by so fast and Christmas is my favorite holiday, I've decided to create Christmas note cards all year round from now on. I have lots of Christmas supplies that I am crazy about, but haven't had the time to use them since I always run out of time during the holidays. I hope you enjoyed this video and let me know in the comments box down below which holiday is your favorite. Today's note cards are featuring the Concord and Ninth Winter Wonderland die set. I actually created these note cards last year, but I am only now finding the time to edit and publish this video. I will be using the die set only, but note that there is also a coordinating stamp set available and the option to buy them separate or together in a bundle, which is what I did. We can create many different Christmas scenes with this set, which is why I decided to purchase the bundle. Before we begin creating the Nutcrackers note cards, let me show you a different note card that I created using the Winter Wonderland set, so you can have a better idea of how versatile this set is. This one has a snow globe with a couple of snowmen inside. The front actually has a surprise window, and when you open the note card, part of the snow globe is actually on the inside. I also want to mention that the die set has a metal plate to cut out a mechanism that will allow us to create a pop-up element for the inside of the note cards, which is this long rectangular metal plate on the left. So the options are endless and I really enjoy creating with this set. Today, we will be using just the metal plates to create nutcrackers so we can place them on the front panel and inside the note cards as well. These note cards are A2 size, and when they are closed, they look like just any other regular note card, but when you open it, a few more nutcrackers pop up, which is such a fun surprise for the recipient. To be more efficient and save you some time, off camera I die cut all of the pieces that I needed. Actually, way more than what I need, and that is so I can have leftovers for the next time I want to create more nutcrackers. Because there is a lot of die cutting involved, I suggest you also do all of the die cutting first. I spent a couple of hours cutting these pieces, and since these are very small, I recommend you keep them all sorted out so you don't have to waste your time later looking for them. It was very easy to figure out where to adhere each piece, and since these are very small die cuts, I recommend you use a wax pencil like this one that I'm using to pick up these tiny pieces, as well as a pair of self-lock tweezers. Also, make sure to use a strong liquid adhesive that dries clear, so you don't have to worry too much about any glue oozing out. And because these metal plates are very small, I was able to only use pieces of cardstock scraps, which was great. If you're mass producing, I recommend you break it into steps and adhere one piece to all of the nutcrackers before moving on to the next die cut. For example, here I have 11 nutcrackers and I will begin by adhering the faces to all of these die cut bodies. On the right, I have a piece of purple tape with the sticky side facing up, so I can change the color of a die cut if I need to with a marker. Since these die cuts are so tiny, by placing them over a piece of tape, they will stay in place as I'm going over them with a marker. I will go over the brown die cuts with a black marker around those sections that will show through the die cuts, so the buttons and socks are all black. Next, I will add the nose and the mustache to all of their faces. Then I can move on to the hats, all of the uniforms, boots, and accessories. I find the process to be faster when I do it this way, instead of trying to finish one nutcracker at a time. For the front panel, I will add some interest by using a piercing plate by Memory Box. However, before I do that, I will stamp the sentiment. I feel that I get a better stamped result when I do it before using a piercing plate. For some of these panels, I will stamp a sentiment with black ink only, and for others, I will heat emboss it with gold embossing powder. And if you feel that the piercing plate flattens your embossed sentiment, you can heat set it again to bring its shine and shape back. Once I have all of my panels ready, I will cut them on a diagonal because I'm planning on mixing and matching these pieces and creating a front panel with two different colors of cardstock. To make sure that I cut two panels in the same spot so I can switch the pieces later, I simply cut both of them at once. This way I can be sure that the two different colors of cardstock will perfectly fit as I adhere them to the front of my note cards. As I adhere the parts of my front panel to my card base, I like to keep it on the corner of my score buddy. This will help me make sure that everything is lined up. And since the white cardstock that I use to make these note cards is not heavyweight, I will also add white panels inside to make it feel heavyweight and so it's not flimsy. For this first note card, I will add a cardstock strip between these two pieces that I glue to the front panel, as well as to the flap of the envelope to make it match. Then I will adhere some nutcrackers above this cardstock strip. This note card is side folding and measures 5.5 inches tall by 4.25 inches wide. I know these are not traditional Christmas colors, but I love switching it up once in a while, so this first one will be white and pink. It really broke my heart having to cut out this last nutcracker that is hanging off the edge after all of that work. So from now on, I will space them in a way so I don't have to waste any of these little guys. For the pop-up mechanism that will go inside this note card, I will use this die set also by Concord and Knife. This is called the pop-up base dice. It comes with 3 different sizes and I will use the medium size metal plate to cut out this mechanism. I will fold this piece following these lines that the metal plate created and add a piece of double-sided adhesive tape to both of these sections above these folded lines. Then I will fold this mechanism in half, remove the release paper from both pieces of tape, and line up this one side of the V shape of this mechanism with the score line in the center of my note card. Once that's done, I can close the note card to adhere part of this mechanism to the other side. And now with the pop-up mechanism in place, I can start adhering a few more nutcrackers inside this note card. As you adhere the die cuts to the pop-up mechanism, always test it out by opening and closing your note card to make sure that nothing is sticking out when the note card is closed. If any die cut happens to be sticking out, that means you need to either reposition the pop-up mechanism, use a smaller size of this pop-up die cut, or use shorter die cut elements to glue to your pop-up base. In order for this to be a surprise, nothing can be sticking out when the note card is closed. Plus, it is just not a good look. For this next one, the assembling process was exactly the same. However, for the sentiment, I used the Spellbinder's Simply Perfect alphabet die set to cut out the letters to make the sentiment Merry Christmas in Portuguese. Since this note card has a sentiment in Portuguese, I decided to go with the colors of the Brazilian flag for this one. So all of the nutcrackers will have a combination of green, yellow, and blue uniforms. I will also adhere 3 more die cuts to the back of the first, third, and fifth nutcrackers so they stand out more, but you can definitely skip this step if you don't want the extra dimension. Once the front of my note card is done, I can move on to the pop-up mechanism. After you've done this a couple of times, it will only take you seconds to add the pop-up mechanism. It is so easy to do and also very addicting. I must warn you that you might want to start adding pop-up elements to all of your note cards when you buy this set. I have had this pop-up base die set for a while now, and I have used it so many times with so many different sets that I already had, which is awesome because it allows you to use your old die sets in a completely different way. So again, I will fold this mechanism in half, remove the release paper from the double-sided tape, and line up one side of the V shape of this mechanism with the score line in the center of my note card. Then I can close the note card to adhere the other half of this pop-up mechanism to the other side of my note card. And just like I did with the previous note card, I will add a few more nutcrackers to this pop-up mechanism. For this last one, to change the front panel a bit, I will add a second piece of this red pierced panel. Also, I will only add 3 nutcrackers, making this one in the middle stand out by adhering about 5 more die-cut pieces to the back of this one. For the sentiment, I will again use that alphabet die set by Spellbinders to create a sentiment in Portuguese. I also stacked 3 die cuts for each letter, and I will line them up on a sticky mat first. Since my sticky mat is see-through, I will use these grid lines on my black mat that's on my table as a guide to make sure all of these letters are straight. Once I have one word ready, I will use a piece of tape to pick them all at once, add liquid adhesive in the back, and adhere it to my note card. Then I can move on to the next word and repeat that same process. Since I can find stamps and die sets with sentiments in Portuguese, this is what I usually do to create a note card with a sentiment in that language. And that is the great thing about investing in alphabet die sets. It allows you to create any type of sentiment you need. Once my front panel is done, I can move on to the pop-up mechanism, just like I did with the previous note cards. I just had the best time creating these note cards, and the pop-up is such an awesome surprise for the recipient. Here is a closer look at all of the note cards that I was able to create. I hope you enjoyed this video and felt inspired. If you're interested, you can find in the description box down below a list of all products used today, and remember, you can also visit my blog for pictures of these note cards and a visual supply list. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and consider subscribing to my channel so you do not miss the next one. Thank you so much for watching, have a wonderful day, and until next week.